Welcome to another S&P 500 analysis. Today is June 25th, 2022. After 3 consecutive losing weeks, the S&P 500 finally got a bounce and closed the week with a gain. Is this another dead cat bounce, or is this the beginning of a new uptrend? In this video, we'll look at the market sentiment, the market internals, and the price action of the S&P 500, along with the other major market indexes, and see what they are telling us. Stay tuned. And before I begin, I need you to smash that thumbs up to help me promote this video on YouTube. And if you are looking for an objective, unbiased view of the market, then click on the subscribe to subscribe to this channel, and be sure to click the notification icon to turn on notification so you won't miss any of my future videos. And just a reminder, be sure to watch my S&P 500 Trade Watch video, where I will give you some trade level to watch on the S&P 500 ETF, the SPY, the NASDAQ 100 ETF, the QQQ, and the Russell 2000 ETF, IWM. In addition, I will also present you with some level to watch for the coming week on Apple and Tesla, and a discussion on the E-mini S&P 500 futures, market profile, and volume profile chart. So be sure to turn on the notifications so you will be notified when I post this S&P 500 Trade Watch video. Looking at this weekly chart of the S&P 500, we see the range from last week was somewhere around 198 points, and it gained 237 points, or 6.45%. Also, we noticed that the price bounced off the lower trend line of this price channel and came up and filled this weekly gap. It closed beneath this declining 10-week and also 40-week moving average, and also maintaining this lower low, lower high price pattern. So until the technical picture changed, the weekly trend is still down. Before we take a look at the daily sentiment chart and also the internal, let's take a look at the intraday for the past week. First, we noticed that the up-down volume ratio on Tuesday. Remember now that we had a short week. Monday was a holiday. So on Tuesday, we noticed that the up-down volume ratio was quite strong. It was actually near almost 20-1 in the morning session. And also on Friday session was also quite strong, because we also saw the up-down volume ratio throughout the entire session above the 12 and close to the 15 level. Now on Wednesday and Thursday, we sort of have a little bit of a chop on the up-down volume ratio, but also at very low level. So it's pretty much neutral, basically plus or minus 1.5 to 1 throughout the day. But the other thing to notice is the advanced decline. On Tuesday, we actually have a broad market participation on the upside with over 2,000 more advancing issue than declining issue. Similarly, on Friday, we also have a broad market advance to push the market higher. Now, let's take a look at the daily sentiment chart here. Looking at the VIX here, we see that the VIX is still inside of this 20-30 zone throughout the week here. And also the put-call ratio is kind of fluctuating inside of this 0.75 and 1 until Friday sort of dipped below that and closed the week at 0.7196 or 0.72 on the put-call ratio. And here we see the up-down volume ratio on Tuesday. On Friday, it was relatively strong in the New York Stock Exchange, and also the advanced decline. The advancing issue outnumbered the declining issue on Tuesday by a margin of 1,500, and on Friday it was 2,104 more advancing issue than declining issue. And for the new high, new low in the New York Stock Exchange, as you can see, it's quite a dramatic reduction here, or pullback, compared to the previous week. We saw here it was over 1,000 52-week low. This week, the highest that we've seen was 272 number of stock hit new 52-week low, and on Friday it was only 69. And looking at the new high, new low here, we seen only on Wednesday it was 267 more new 52-week low than 52-week high. And similarly on Thursday, it was 259 more new 52-week low than 52-week high. But then on Friday, finished the week as with only 58 more new 52-week low than 52-week high. And looking at the New York Stock Exchange cumulative AD line, you see that it's coming off from this low here, similarly with the S&P 500. But again, we still have this divergence here that we need to get resolved. So we are still waiting for that, and most likely probably will have the S&P 500 come up to take out this pivot high, and the advanced decline take out this pivot high, then get back in sync. And looking at the NASDAQ market, the up-down volume ratio was quite positive throughout the entire week, and also the advanced decline. The Tuesday advanced decline was over close to 1,500, and on Wednesday a little bit negative, and then Thursday and Friday was also over 1,000. On Thursday it was 1,142, and Friday is 1,548. More advancing issue than declining issue. And similarly, in the NASDAQ market, the number of stocks making new 52-week low have come down quite a bit. And also the number of 52-week low over 52-week high also have reduced. And on Friday, it was only 117 more new 52-week low than 52-week high versus previous week, we saw a low of 1,120 more 52-week low than 52-week high. So that is quite a dramatic reduction. It's almost 10-to-1 reduction there. And similarly for the NASDAQ market, the advanced decline is also coming up along with the NASDAQ 100. So again, we basically are looking for this right here, this pivot high to get taken out, with this advanced decline coming up, getting above these highs here. So in summary, the market participants are still a little bit fearful based on the VIX. It's still sitting inside of this 20-30 zone. But the put-call ratio is getting a little bit less bearish now. It is hovering around that 0.75, although there are a couple times that is inside that 0.75 and 1. But definitely it is not above that 1 level. And in addition to that, we are noticing that the new low, the number of stocks making new 52-week low have reduced dramatically. And also the up-down volume ratio and the advanced decline seems to show some broader market participation on the upside. Now let's take a look at the S&P 500. This is a weekly chart, and we're going to look at this right here. Remember last week, we're talking about getting a bounce here and fill this gap and possibly come up to this 4,000 level. Well, it didn't quite get up to that 4,000, but it did came up to this 3,900 level and also fill this gap. So for the coming week, we probably see a little bit more upside before we see a little bit of a pullback. So there's still a possibility that it could be hitting this 4,000 level. And I will talk about that a little bit more when I talk about the ETF, the S&P 500 ETF, the SPY, in a separate video. So we'll basically still continue to look for the S&P 500 possibly come up to this level here toward the 4,000, and then maybe get a little bit of a pullback and possibly check this low here. And for the NASDAQ 100, we're also looking for a bounce and possibly come up to this 12,105 area. And as you can see, this 12,000 level here, you can see it came up and came up to this this zone here as well. And those were the area that we're looking for on this week if we do see a bounce and also this gap get filled. So right now we're still looking for a little bit more upside and possibly before it pulls back and come back down and do a check on this 50% retracement level, and also possibly come down and double check these low here near this 1100. And for the Russell 2000, we're also looking for a little bit of a bounce, and we weren't quite confident as we were on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 regarding to the possibility of the Russell 2000 filling this gap. We're basically looking for this thing to come back up to this 1740 area and possibly chop around here. So right now we are still watching to see would it be able to have additional momentum to come up and fill this gap before it pushes back down and double check this 1715 area and possibly dip below that and come down and check this 1660. Essentially these lows here, because right now it could come back down and test this pivot, the pre-pandemic pivot high, and that were somewhere around this 1712. In the Dow Jones Transportation, we also saw a bounce off of the Dow Jones Transportation from this low, and it seemed like it might be trying to come up to this 38.2 near this 13,752 area. So we could still look for this possibility, and even might come up to these pivot low here, somewhere around the 14,000 level. So keep an eye on the transportation. It could come up and tag this 14,000 before it try to make its way back down, and double check this 13,163 and possibly come back and test these low. So maybe put in a little bit of a double bottom type of formation. And here the Dow Jones Industrial, we're also looking for a bounce and also looking for a gap fill, and we got that. So right now we'll basically see would it be able to continue to move up and try to tag this 32,000 before it pushes back down, and come back and tag this 38.2, and then possibly come up and test this pre-pandemic pivot high here. And looking at the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index, we did get a bounce off at the 382 level here at this 14,000, came up and came back above this pivot low here above the 14,800. So we'll see in the 14,700. So we'll see what it continue to push up or it come back down, and check this 13,948 or 14,000 level. So we'll see what it come up to, pushes up here, maybe get above the 15,000 and then pushes back down and tag this 14,000 level once again. And here looking at the 10-year yield, remember last week we're basically looking for a little bit of a chopping around between this 3.2 and this area here. So we saw that the 10-year yield pull back a little bit. So once again, we're still waiting for this thing to chop around and resume its upward trajectory to toward this 3.75%. That's basically what I'm looking at, somewhere around this 3.75 level. Looking at the US dollar here, we see that the US dollar kind of chopping around, pull back a little bit. And we're still waiting for this thing to push up to this 107, this upper trend line. And for the crude oil, we're basically looking for a little bit of a pullback and somewhere around maybe possibly come down to this 100 level here, this 99.26, this area here. So it did pull back a little bit and got a nice bounce back off of that pullback. So wouldn't be surprised to see a continuation on the upside in the coming week. Again, we're basically still looking for this high to get taken out and come up to this 130 level here. And looking at silver, again, silver is still holding this area here at this 20.42. So essentially forming this little bit of a double bottom. So I'd be looking for a move to take out this pivot high and get above this 22.72. And finally, for gold, we basically were saying that as long as gold holding this trend line, then the trend is still remain to be up. And it did hold this trend line, and I'd be looking for maybe a little bit of a bounce off of this area here. I wouldn't be surprised to come down and maybe check this 1804 area. Then we see a push up and possibly take out this pivot high here somewhere around this 1875, and then start making another move up. So in summary, looking at the sentiment and also the internal, it seems to show a little bit more firmness and a little bit of positive on the AD and the up-down volume ratio. And the sentiment still a little bit cautious, but the thing is the price action seems to show that the indexes still have a little bit more upside momentum before it come back down and possibly test the recent low. Now, remember, there is a GDP reading coming out on the 29th on Wednesday. So we could get a little bit of reaction from the market based on that reading because right now I think the market is still assessing the possibility of a recession and how deep that recession will be. So when that GDP reading comes out this Wednesday, we probably will get a little bit of a price action on repricing the market once again. So be careful. Be sure to smash that thumbs up to help me promote this video on YouTube. Thank you for watching and stay safe.